Welcome to the Marketing as Fuck group discussion with Trevor Hunter, Spencer McSain, and Jose Parra.
So we want to dive into some questions?
Yeah, I'm pulling them up right now. Was there anything that anyone wanted to start off with, or we should kind of give a little intro about what this whole thing is about?
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys had the questions, right?
Yeah, we have a few that we're gonna hit on.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I had them up so I can kind of look at them too as we go.
Yep. And then, Ryan, if you have any questions, the whole concept of this thing is that it's like an open forum discussion. It's real informal, and it's just, we're just kind of trying to shoot the shit and talk about some things that we think that can help other people out, that can bring, anyone value, with anything to do with marketing that they don't already know, or that they're trying to learn or anything like that. So, real easy going and, just chatting.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
I did come across something that's interesting for content. It's not something we have in the questions here, but it's called Zest. Give me just a second. It's called distilled.zest.is.
What is that?
And it is essentially marketing content. Its intent is it's just press releases, blog posts that are kind of curated, and it's all relevant to marketers. So you can type in B2B, and you can see all B2B type posts, and it's stuff that you can share on your own page. Take clips from it and so forth. Pretty good piece.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. So it's like kind of almost like templated sort of content that you can. I assume you have to buy it.
Nope, not that I see so far.
What?
Then there's also a content submission section where you can submit your content. Like somebody posted in the group today, the Peter Cialdini influence is like the 6 principles of psychology of persuasion.
Oh, okay.
Really good book, by the way. But it was a stupid long blog post. Like, it had images, and, by the time I got to the end of it, I was like, okay, so this is a great article, but it needs to be condensed down. So I rewrote it and put it on my blog. And I actually submitted that to Zest for theoretically somebody else to share and, kind of make my shit go viral on some level. But it also has good content for you to watch as well. So if you create your own content, it's something to submit to. Kind of like, it reminds me of Dig. Y'all remember Dig?
No.
Dig was like pre-Reddit days, but it was more like blog post. And Dig was around when Squiddo and some of those other ones were around. It was, basically you submit your blog post and get, link backs to your site.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's old school. That's great. Yeah,
It's kind of reminds me of that, actually.
Yeah. I wasn't in this game, like, when that was, the status quo, and, like, I wasn't around, but I've been learning a lot about it and reading a lot about, like, how it used to be with, like, link farms and stuff like that, and, like, it always just cracks me up. People hiding text within their site and stuff. Real gray hat, black hat SEO type stuff.
Yeah, we did it all. It's like 02-ish, so I was around in those days.
I think I was like 12.
Yeah, I was 6.
Awesome.
Do what?
I said I was like 6.
You're 2 years younger than he is. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
So we want to jump right into the first question.
Sure. Which email marketing subscription do you use and why?
Yep. Why don't you speak on that real quick, Trevor?
Do what?
You want to speak on that? You want to start?
Sure. I use MailChimp. MailChimp, the easiest. It has the ability to really get granular with your list. It has some downsides, but if you have a really big list, it gets expensive. I have one list in particular that has like 1,000 people on it, and I think that list cost me like $470 a month. So it can get kind of pricey. So you want to make sure your list is a good list. But what's cool is I can do. Say I have a list of like 20,000 members or users. I can send an email out to all 20,000. And then go back in 3 days or 4 days, whatever window of time I choose, and pick to resend the same email with a different subject line to everyone who did not open the previous email.
That's awesome.
That makes sense.
Then the next week, give it 4 more days, I'll do a little bolder of a subject line. So the first one is like. I can't think of a title right now, but I'll do something, really more in your face. I try to keep pricing and shit like that out of the intro because I don't really try to do, market on sale on the price. But by the time I get to the 7th email and I'm down to, these 4,000 people who have never opened an email, nothing else has worked. So I'll throw, get it today for $49.99 and throw that number in their face. And usually by the time I end, almost everybody has opened that email.
Wow.
So that level of granularity, being able to, pick and choose. And then you can send an email out, you don't know who your email and your website's a little funny because you don't really know who's converting sales. But we don't have a whole lot of tracking for. I mean, there are ways, but it's beyond my scope of what I know. So if I have somebody who has opened the last 6 emails of mine, there's a good chance that they like the content.
Right.
So I can send a very specific email that says, hey, sign up for this thing or take advantage of this discount or whatever to those people, and it's extremely targeted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. You're being really purposeful with every action that you're taking in terms of tracking who's opening and stuff like that so that you're getting the most out of it that you can.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's smart.
And they all may do that. MailChimp is just what I use.
Gotcha. I don't really know much of anything about MailChimp. So, Jose, do you know anything about email marketing? Hey.
Hi.
What's up?
I finally made it work. So
glad you can make it.
Yeah. It wasn't working from the phone, so.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you made it.
So that's good. So Google Hangout does not work on mobile.
Yeah.
I saw the screenshot and I couldn't respond because I didn't know how to help you.
Yeah. Strange, huh?
But so y'all do either one of y'all do anything other than MailChimp?
No. For my agency, we only use MailChimp. I'm not the one who runs it. But I mean, I do know that MailChimp seems to be a common favorite that a lot of people use. That's kind of why I was laughing when you said that right up front, because it's the one that I hear everyone uses.
Yeah, Constant Contact used to be.
That's the other one.
I used Constant Contact years ago, like 10 years ago, but MailChimp just does well. Downside with MailChimp is if you don't properly opt in your people, you send spam out, they will slap the shit out of you. Yeah. They will really crucify you. So you've got to have a really good list. They make it pricey enough where, if you dumped 500,000 emails in there, you'd spend $4,000 a month, So I kind of keep my email database very, very clean. Like if somebody's not, I didn't mention this a minute ago, but if someone's not opened an email, like in the last 10 campaigns I did, I'll go through and cull that list and take those out because essentially they're costing me money and I'm not gaining anything from them.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Jose,
but
you use MailChimp?
There is like what I do on a Tuesday morning between 9 and 12. I mean, it's a pretty simple process. Like I handle most of the email campaigns in that time and schedule everything for the entire week for every client that I've got. So it's a super easy. Once you get in there and you start realizing it, it's like I would screenshot it, but I don't think I can share some of the stuff I got in there. It's like send to, and you search, and then people who have not, or people who have, and then the drop down is like not open the last email, not open the last 3 emails, never opened an email, and it's got like gave me the options, and you can pick which one you want, own schedule, send it out Thursday night, rock and roll.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Is it pretty easy to use, would you say?
Yeah. Tell you what, give me just a second.
You gonna pull something up?
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can share it.
All right, perfect. Jose, I've been trying to get you in on this. Do you do email marketing?
Not personally, but I've worked with people that do. And actually, one of my clients, they sort of opted me to be the guy to find the best email marketing platform to use.
Yeah.
And out of everything I went across, MailChimp, I still consistently tell people get MailChimp.
Okay.
If your list isn't above, I think the limit's like 2,000. You get that free offer, and the beauty of it is the learning curve. But other things for hours, MailChimp you can use templates, you can do drag and drops, and all that kind of stuff. So it's like the thing that I'm comfortable telling somebody who's not completely in the know to say, here, mess with this. If you need help, I'll sit down with you eventually. But that one usually takes care of people really well. Gotcha.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Everything that I've heard, everyone freaking uses MailChimp. I haven't even heard of... There was that one other one that Trevor mentioned that I've seen, but, that's pretty much it.
Can y'all see this?
Yeah, can everyone see Trevor's screen?
Yep.
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, perfect.
Tiny.
So, to start with, create a new thing. So, where I get granular with it is group or new segment. Campaign activity is what I use most of the time. And did not open.
Oh, wow.
Like all campaigns the last 7 days, all campaigns, any of the last 5 campaigns.
Yeah.
And this is for this list, which I think there's like a few people here that have signed up for this, but it will actually change. Okay, so the 4 people what this tells me right now is the 4 people who have signed up did not actually open the email that we sent out to notify that this was beginning.
Oh, wow.
So, we'll save, and then you go through everything else is pretty normal. You have a subject line.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. They really walk you through every little step.
Yeah, it's super, that right there, the recipient section is probably the most complex thing there is. And even when you get into the content creation of it,
yeah,
I mean, it's just easy as pie, you know what I mean?
Wow, that's awesome.
So, and there's really no tricks to anything. I mean, it's as simple as it gets, really.
Right.
Yeah. I recommend it.
Awesome. Cool. Let's move on to the next question. What is the importance of a business model to a marketing campaign? I remember this one stuck out to me because I didn't know what that actually meant. I mean, a business model is important to a business. If you're trying to build a business, you should have a good model. But in terms of, how it connects to a marketing campaign, I mean, what are your guys' thoughts? Because I kind of really don't understand the question, to be honest with you.
I think I feel the same.
Yeah, I'm not really sure exactly what the intent was there. I mean, I find the business model is extremely critical to developing the marketing campaign. But
right, yeah. Like, I mean,
you guys can how extensive the business model needs to be thought out. You know, I want to make vapies tomorrow, and I'm going to start a business and start marketing it. You know, do I need to have? Is it asking if I need to have more information than that and build out a business model to be able to start marketing, or something about completeness? I wonder if that's what he's going for.
Yeah. I think, you know, something I was thinking of is one of the key aspects to a good business model is understanding like the market need that you are addressing, you know, how you're standing out against the competition. If you do a market analysis, you're seeing how other competitors are marketing. And then the biggest thing that I think that has an impact on a marketing strategy would specifically be understanding your target demographic, your target audience. So maybe that's what they were getting at. That kind of sounds closer to what I think maybe they possibly meant. And that's the only thing that I can really think that would really have an impact on, you know, what sort of marketing strategy that you're trying to have is really just understanding, you know, really understanding the industry you're in, who you're trying to reach, and what sets you apart from your competition. Yeah.
But both of them are fluid. I mean,
right, exactly.
There's never have I ever sat down, decided to, you know, create a business model, and 6 months later, the picture of that looked anything close to what I started with.
Yeah.
So they're both extremely fluid things. So everything that you for your model greatly impacts the campaign, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point you brought up. Like, you know, anytime you can sort of build something that you can easily, like, you have to have the ability to pivot, whether that be overall for your business or for your marketing campaign or changing up your product or your service or, you know, your brand or whatever it may be. Like, just having the ability to understand the market, know what's going on, keeping your ear to the ground so that you know when to pivot if you need to is, like, absolutely crucial.
Yeah, without a doubt. I have failed quite a few times by digging in on a concept that I should have pivoted, and I didn't, and lost, well, more than I cared to lose.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the reality of it, though. I think it's a good thing that you brought that up. Like, and this is something that I've been thinking about a lot recently that I think is really interesting is, like, you know, it's so crucial to be constantly aware of what's going on because it's a weird thing where it can take a while to build up your audience. It can take a while to build up, you know, your social media followings or your client base, your customer base or whatever, but it can go away like overnight. So like, that's why being able to, yeah.
I'll go for example. This, a mech mod. I don't know if y'all know what these are, but it was a vape.
Yeah.
2014 to 2017, I engineered one, manufactured thousands of them.
Wow.
Made a fuck ton of money. Like to the point where Monday I would take orders from stores and start at 9 a.m. and by 9:30 would be sold out for the month.
Wow.
Holy crap.
Then these came along. Boxes.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, no one is going to carry this big son of a bitch around.
Right.
This. And suddenly it was gone. And just for the record, nobody carries the big son of bitches around. I totally missed the market shift, and I was one of the biggest manufacturers of mechanical mods in that era, and I was dead before I knew it.
Wow. That's insane. That doesn't surprise me, though, especially in that industry. That's something that moves quick.
Oh, it was insane. I mean, I was sitting on over $50,000 worth of inventory, and literally, previous month, I could not fill orders, fast enough, and I couldn't give the shit away almost.
Oh, my God.
Yes. Pivoting is important.
Crucial, you may say.
Yes.
This is a good one. This one I like. We'll move on to the next one here. How to market an upcoming podcast. Jose, I want you to take this one. Yeah, I'm throwing you in there, man.
How to market a upcoming podcast. It's pretty much the same way you market a lot of anything else. You take, depending on your podcast, depending on the market, you want your website, you want your social media, you want distribution channels. Maybe you're looking at LinkedIn, maybe you're looking at YouTube, even though you're doing an audio format, throwing something up on YouTube just has a picture with a title, because what you're looking for is the organic stuff, and then what you're looking for is the ad money revenue that you put behind it. So I think I was talking to Christina, who's in our group.
Yeah.
She has a podcast. I was telling her what you could do is, I think Eduardo did it once. Your face is on it, Spencer, where he has the audio running, and then there's like, I think well. So what you could do is literally, depending on what it is you're trying to serve or who it is you're trying to get to, you break down your big content. Say you do have 40-minute podcasts, you take 6 minutes to 12 minutes, you break it down to 1 minute increments, and then you just distribute it all across any platform that you can confidently navigate. So say if you're talking about 40 minutes of marketing, you go to LinkedIn, you turn it into like what Trevor did earlier with the, what's it called? With the Psychology of Influence book. He found a blog that he pretty much broke down. Then he shared it on different distributions, and that's pretty much exactly what you do with your podcast. Alongside that, a lot of it is networking and collaborating. It's just contacting people, finding out what's important to people, and seeing if you can negotiate sit-downs with those people. And if they have a big enough audience, usually you can run ads directly to that audience.
Yep.
So yeah, with marketing a podcast, you got a lot of options. It's just pretty much figuring out what it is you're comfortable at, what you're good at, and then executing on your distribution and shaking a lot of hands at the end of the day.
Yep. I think you put that perfectly. That's exactly why I wanted to bring you in on that one, because I know you'd have some good stuff to say. I mean, I think you nailed it. I think the biggest thing to really take away from that is simply just like know your audience, know what your podcast is about, like know your product basically. And then just simply volume and engagement is huge, you know, putting it out on every platform. And just like you said, shaking a lot of hands, having a lot of conversations, bringing people in. Yeah.
Promoting it like crazy.
Right. Promoting it like crazy. And then the one thing
Gary Vee Taylor that I loved a lot is like, where do you want your people to stay? Where do you want your audience to hang out at? And she said Facebook groups, which created this. So if you want people to take your podcast and to be there with you the whole way, your Instagram link should be linked to your podcast. Your IGTV should be doing video formats that are talking about your podcast. Not every single post is about your podcast, but that's how you bring in traffic. I also wanted to ask Trevor about, because of the same kind of aspect, when you build your website or you build a landing page or whatever the specifics, you can trade the email address so that people can keep up to date, just like we did with this, so that you can email them about your podcast. Ultimately, you want to own the emails so that you can market, just like he was showing with MailChimp on a regular basis. So do email marketing could benefit you. It just really depends on your comforts and interests and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There's like other practical stuff if you dive down deep into it. Like if you're going to do a podcast, they call them cliffhangers, something, leave it on an end note so that people would be more inclined to stay. There's others, there's making it into a series. So like Trevor, I know you have experience in e-commerce. Spencer, I know you got the agency. So say 1 week I'm going to talk to 4 agency owners and we're just going to like hash it out. Practical, shoot the mess. And then with Trevor, I'm going to hash it out with 4. There was a concept that I was floating around with, and I keep telling people on the regular. What's funny is you can literally write a blog post about 4 people in your space that are doing it really strong, then link to them like on Twitter or something and be like, hey, I just wrote a blog post saying how you're killing the industry or how I'm interested in this, and that throws you into their world. And a lot of the times they'll want to share that. You can do that same exact thing with a podcast. I'm running a podcast. I'm talking about marketing. You know, this YouTube kid I was watching, he's got like 10,000 subscribers. Why don't I shout him out on here, tell people to go check him out, and then Twitter, and then hit him up on Instagram, and then I'll follow up through an email, and then maybe he'll be on my podcast.
I like
there'll
that.
be a trade of value.
Yeah, I love that.
I like
Yeah.
that a lot.
So it's a lot of structured sort of, how do I get my foot in the door, and how do I give you something of value without asking anything in return? So that when I ask, you're like, oh, I've seen this dude before. Oh, I've seen them in my little circle about this. Also, too, if you're depending on your podcast, say we're like informational podcasts, and you have a huge information base, you can literally go to Twitter, type in a hashtag, if you were in the wine industry, you go to hashtag wine, you have that linked up to your podcast on the back end. It's just like a funnel system. You're making a bunch of conversations on the quick fly, however many hours a week you want to dedicate to that.
Yep.
And then that allows the organic. And then as you're doing that, you're researching the industry. Who are the top guys on Instagram that's killing it in your feed, in your field? Then you find the guys that are on their way up. Then you find the people that have maybe just 20,000 more followers than you. Then you find the people that just have like 100,000 followers, or they're popular on YouTube, but they're not popular on Twitter. And maybe your skill is Twitter, or maybe your skill is podcasting. You'll figure out your relationship base there. And a lot of it, as funny as it sounds, is just doing that and then figuring out the practical. Like anything that executed on marketing back in the day will still work today, which is kind of great. You're just using different platforms of distribution.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's perfect, dude. Trevor, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I love that. That goes back to reciprocity, which is one of the 6 principles of persuasion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're all over reciprocity. I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, I've never thought of that. I mean, you're kind of giving a little bit, but you're taking. If all you need is for them to acknowledge that you did that thing, and suddenly once they acknowledge you, their circle is now your circle.
Yeah.
To a degree, yeah. Like just in the same aspect of me being on this hangout from you came from me taking the time to sit down with Spencer a long time ago and saying, "Hey, let's do an hour back and forth." And I was on the run on my phone, just being like, "Okay, this is how the mechanics of Facebook work." And then same kind of things. I tell people a lot of times when you start helping people out, you get to sit in places where your opportunities come. Even if I get no business from any of you, chances are we may benefit mutually through referrals, or you put me in touch with another person and they hire me, or whatever the situation. But that's the biggest benefit. That's why I really like when Gary talks about to just give and do without any expectation in return. He always talks about, what is it 51-49?
Yep.
To give more than you ask. And then I always tell my buddies that are always trying to figure out their lives and stuff, I was like, give so much that when you ask, it's going to be like a for sure yes, because they're like, oh, you've done so much for me in my life. Here you go. And it's consistent. Like, not for you at the end of the day, but if you help 100 people, you look at the metrics, chances are 10 to 20 will get you to where you need eventually.
Yep. Absolutely. I love everything you just said. I think you absolutely nailed it. Like, it's just giving without expectation, and not expecting anything in return, and just doing the right thing, building it up on good. Naturally, you're just going to be helping so many people out that, like, you're just naturally going to find the right types of people who are, not only willing but happy to give back to you, because you're just simply being an awesome human being.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's not even give back to me. It's just like with you, Spencer, we're going to do this meetup that's coming up on the weekend.
Yeah.
I already know in the back of my head, I have to talk, because you're going to go, in my head, I was like, oh, I know a videographer. When you said your brother's coming over and you're going to have that one videographer, I was thinking, well, maybe their business will benefit from another videographer, maybe a photographer, and then on and on. So it's not just about where's my benefit, but like, can I connect to people and they just run with it, which is still great.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny how, like, it kind of spider webs, and you can't always really connect the dots, but you know that, like, if you're just putting enough dots out there, they're going to connect some way, somehow, some form, sometime. And I think that's the biggest thing that is really, like, the biggest value, because you wouldn't think about that in, like, a business sense, probably specifically because it's hard to draw that correlation like on a balance sheet, trying to figure out like, well, I did that one favor for that one guy that one time, and then he talked to that one dude who worked with that guy in his house, and then he knew someone. Like, it's so impossible to like try to really draw that out.
Instinctively, people know it. We
Right.
call it networking. We call it business development. We call it whatever we're going to call it. But a lot of the times because when it comes to like structural businesses, a lot of the times when I'm sitting down with somebody and they're sort of describing what it is they want to happen, they're talking about what can I get? How can I get this? And a lot of the times I have a conversation where I say, how much can you give to get something? Where's the benefit? Like with like travel or jewelry or all this kind of stuff. Like what kind of stuff can you give? Like I love the giveaway to get an email address. You want a free giveaway that's going to be on a necklace or whatever. Just submit your email to walk away with something, but you're still amping up a giveaway or you're amping up. And then I talk or podcasts or that kind of situation. Can you make a small 20 to 40 page book about traveling on the cheapest end? A PDF file for free to anyone willing to trade the email address. So you're looking at what am I going to give away? How am I going to promote myself? Same with podcasts. Is like, who wants this and how do I give them way more than I possibly can muster up? And then once you give so much, then you get to go through the ask, jab, and ask. Yeah, right hook. It's just pretty much by that point. Hopefully, you have 100 fans that are going to say, "Yeah, you used to give us little books about how to do this for free, and now you got a book that's $17." And it's like perfect.
Absolutely. There you go.
Because you guys know Brad. I don't know if you guys know Brad.
Yep.
Okay, he did this thing which I thought was pretty cool. He did it on his Instagram stories, and it's a video. It's like 5 videos, and it says, "Do you guys want it?" Like pretty much him talking about how the cheapest place to travel from California, it turns out to be Iceland. You can get there for like $250, an extra $100 if you want to. So it's like $360. So, like, say if you were to deep dive on that, and he says, check this out, like, where you land in the airport, there's these 6 different places you can go. It'll be $150 for this. If he gets really deep on that, and then he distributes that as free content to everybody in California, or as many people as he can hit, every time he's on a podcast, every time he's doing a one back and forth, and just telling people, hey, check it out, I did it. Really, when people are starting to like these kind of things, you can go back and forth. It's like, hey, Trevor, where do you want to go on vacation next month? How much is your budget? I'll get you there under that budget. Let me work on that for you. So he can walk away, do what do they call it? Like an itinerary. Yeah. It should be like, okay, well, these are your viable options for this. And then he does that like 100 times over the next year. At the end of the year, he's going to have serviced so many people that people are just going to come to him. I believe he also does like travel agent kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He can build on that platform straight up because it appears that he enjoyed it because the video was kind of awesome. But it's as simple as that. It's like a lot of the times you just want to get to be known as the guy that can pretty much get this outcome. I used to tell my buddies that all the time. It's like whatever field you're getting in, you want people to think of you when they think of this. And then pushing it more and more and more. Like you're going to annoy some people talking about, hey, listen to my podcast. But at the end of the day, you're servicing the 12 to 15% of people that are really going to vibe with you for the rest of your life.
Exactly. I think you just nailed it. Like it's not about getting everyone. It's about getting the people who are like super interested in what you're trying to do. Like getting those diehard fans or like really hitting your best target customer or whatever it is. Like you don't got to win the whole thing. My boss always says something that I love. He says like, a lot of people try to fight for the whole watermelon when they should really just own, or they try to fight for like a percentage of the watermelon when they should really just try to own their whole grape. You know what I mean? You're better off you're better off just going for like your target market, finding your diehard fans or your diehard followers or whatever it may be. You know, because like they're out there. You just have to market enough and put enough dots that eventually they connect back to you.
And then if you have the resources and the money to back it up, build your brand so that you become the biggest voice out there.
Boom.
I think Grant Cardone's always talking about that. It was like, I spend so much money putting these events together, putting my face in front of, like you saw with, what's that guy's name? Ty Lopez.
Yeah.
In the middle of like the year, all of a sudden you saw his ad everywhere you possibly could see it. And he do the math and realize he spent like over $1 million to make sure you saw his face. And Grant Cardone, he's been taking after it, and he says that too. He's like, you want to use what you can to amplify so that when a competitor, like he talks about, which I like, which is aggressive, but it's funny. He says, you don't want to compete, you want to dominate the space.
Yes.
So if there's like 4 other ad agencies in my neighborhood, I want to make sure that other people can see my face and be like, that's the guy I want to talk to.
Yes.
Even if like other people in the area. I was talking to real estate agents about it. I was like, why do you guys put your faces on billboards? Why do you guys put your faces on what are they called? Bus benches. And then I asked, how much does that cost? I was like, well, with a fraction of that cost, you could be all over Facebook. You could be all over Instagram.
Yeah, exactly.
Just showing your stuff left and right. I was like, if that matters to you on that scale, but you're spending this much money, is like on a fraction of price, you can do it for this. Yeah.
That's where they won't gather on. That's old ways versus new ways.
Yeah. You get into that, like, you get into that place where Gary Vee says, I'm not here to educate you. So a lot of the times I'm like, there's a benefit, but I'm not going to sell you on it because this is going to take me 4 weeks just to be like,
just to get you. This whole dialogue has kind of sparked. Well, I've got a situation right now. 13 or 14 years ago, there's a guy in Philadelphia that I built a website for. He's a veteran. He does. The website was for veterans to apply to get jobs with companies that have partnered with this guy to get veterans to work for them. I didn't charge him anything for the site, and never heard anything. I mean, it went over well. Got very little from it. You know, I got to pat myself on the back for having a veteran. You know, that was about it. 2 days ago, he reached out to me on LinkedIn, and there's another veteran that he's working with that needs. He's a TED Talk speaker and keynote speaker and stuff like that, and he wants a bigger website and a newer website. And I looked at him really briefly, and I was like, sure, you know, yeah, I could probably fit this in, and because it won't take long. You know? So I started looking at the guy's stuff today because I sent him a Dropbox link so he could start dumping images and so forth into my Dropbox. And there's pictures of him with like Bill Clinton, the last 2 presidents. Like he's with everybody. Like this dude is like a vet that's kind of disfigured in the face. I can't think of his name right now because I'm an asshole. But I'm going through these pictures earlier and I was like, holy shit. This dude is like legit, and he's been on like 7 or 8 TED Talks. So I'm going to do his site pro bono or free, and no idea what will come from that. But at this point, I'm now in a circle that's much different than my previous circle.
Exactly.
And 13 or 14 years ago, I built a website for a little nonprofit in Philadelphia, and now we're here. So that. And I had no expectations of anything. It was just like, do a good thing. The guy kind of came hat in hand, was like, I want to do this. I can't afford it, but I have these, 19 businesses that will give veterans jobs if I can give a platform. And I was like, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah.
And, now it's, so doing the good thing often pays back. It just might take 14 years.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the biggest part about, just doing the right thing is that, it will come back to you in some way, shape, or form. You might not know it, but, that's just a correlation there between being a good person and, business. And it's something that I think not a lot of people ever really notice or think about, but it's there. And that's why Gary Vee talks about it.
We in America, we have a different we're guarded. The Japanese culture, if you grow up in Japan and you go to a swordsmith as a teenager and go, I want to learn your craft, he teaches you. You know, and then it's like, okay, he teaches you this, and then he tells you to go to the guy down the street, and you spend 6 months learning that trade. We here, we tend to guard things. You know, it's like I know how to do Facebook ads pretty well. So the American way is to guard that and keep it, you know, not share it. And that's not ideal. I don't feel like so.
Yeah, exactly.
I've told people before when I work with them, I was like, okay, chances are we're going to work this long, but my idea is to make sure that you become independent from me as quickly as possible.
Exactly.
I tell them all the time. I was like, check it out. If you're going to be paying me this much, I'll teach somebody in-house. I'll do a consult. If you can't afford like the big package, you can't afford this because of whatever reason, I will teach one specific person in your like inner circle and be like, if you only need me twice a month, perfect. And I tell people that'd be great because then you get consistent business or revenue, and it's very minimal work. You can literally sit beside somebody on the laptop and just say, click there, click here, do that. And then we'll follow up in 2 weeks when we should see some results.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times I was talking to Spencer, I did something with somebody yesterday, and instead of me overwhelming them with the tech, overwhelming them with like the tactics, I just said, oh, and then I'm going to walk you piece by piece by piece. What's the button you're looking at now? What's the button you're looking at now? Okay, we'll follow up in a day or two, and that's it. Because I love the fact that at the end of the day, they don't have to rely on me. Because I notice sometimes some companies are getting really beat on, and they look at you as the guy who's going to fix it all.
Right.
But the effort that it takes to be able to do that, and you like for me personally, I really want to do that. I'm like, okay, cool, this is going to be a great big project. Sure, I'm not getting paid the best or whatever the situation, but I get to learn from it. But it's a tough thing to watch when people are like relying on one thing. When you realize, oh, there's a bunch of inconsistencies. You haven't done a follow up in 3 weeks. I don't understand why you don't do that instead. But yeah, the process. A lot of it is pivoting and figuring out as you go along. But at the end of the day, I'd much rather them at least figure out the mechanics.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know the creative can get a little complicated, and knowing what tactics over index, like if you're doing video, sometimes you want to put text on top of the video, but you don't want to do more than 20% of text. And like those little things, it's more you have to like hold people's hands and walk them through the fire on that. But for the mechanics, all day long, I'm like, yeah, I'll do a consult. I'll walk you through it. I don't care. Like, yeah, they make it. I tell people all the time, I don't know why they do it. All of these companies, it's really tedious and it takes a long time. But the minute that you start actually getting through it, you'll be good.
Yeah.
And then maybe afterwards, we'll talk again about the tactics, and we'll talk about the creative, and then we'll talk about this, and then we'll have more of a brainstorming session that you get to walk away and you just execute left and right.
Yep.
Absolutely. Before you, Jose, I don't know if you use this or not, but you were talking about them having to tell you what button they're looking at. TeamViewer. TeamViewer is fantastic. Yeah, it's a remote desktop. It's a web-based remote desktop application. They have a free version for personal use only. The paid version is a little pricey. It's $1,900, but it gives you 2 licenses, so you can have 2 people essentially training somebody 24/7, and it's a lifetime deal.
I'll look into that, yeah, because a lot of it is screenshot sharing and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that can be a pain in the ass.
In my TeamViewer account, where a client calls me and says, you know, I'm in the back of my WordPress and I can't figure out how to do this thing, and I pull them up, boom, they give me a 4-digit password, because that is the only thing. Their machine ID stays the same always. The 4-digit password changes, and they'll give me 2798. Boom, I'm in their machine. I make them do it while I watch, but so they know how to fix it next time. But it's that training. It just gets them where they have, because most of the time, like probably half the time, they know what the fuck to do anyways. They're just scared to do what they think is wrong or right because they're scared to mess it up.
Yeah.
So you're just there to kind of hold their hand a little bit and let them figure it out.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Get it. Like just to figure out Facebook, I think early on I was really hesitant about doing it, but then one day I told myself, you know what, I'm just going to spend $20 here, $5 there, $100 here, and then I push it, and I realized, okay, so these things are pretty much the same. I just got to make sure to dot the I's and cross the T's here, and then it'll run the way I need it to run, which there's benefit. But yeah, so a lot of the times you're just walking people through.
Right.
It's almost 7. I'm kind of running out of time. I don't know if you guys are going to keep it going or if you wanted to.
Yeah, I
go
got.
to the next one.
Yeah, no, I have another call coming up too. So I am going to wrap this up. But we got one more question that I wanted to hit before we go, and it's a good one. It's Jose. I think you're really going to like this, and you too, Trevor. How to reach out to potential high clients to sponsor your brand, etc. Who wants to take it?
I'm guessing he's talking about reaching out to mavens, right? Like high value visuals.
Right.
For me, it's kind of simple. Gary talks about it a lot, and as much as did you guys see the Backpack Kid when he did the appearance on his show?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You already know who you need to target. You've got the list. Now, depending on where it is, you're like, because high client targets, you're looking at, like if you're on Instagram, they call them influencer marketing.
Yeah.
If you're on blogs, you're going to look at the top blogs. If you're on YouTube, you're looking at the thing. But with enough research, you're going to find out the 100 to 300 people that you want to get in contact with. And then you just go one by one by one by one. That's as funny as it sounds. And then what you got to let go of is the fact that I'm a nobody. I don't have this many followers, so maybe they won't even listen to me. It really doesn't matter because you're looking for, again, it's a metric thing. If you contact 100 people, about anywhere from 70 to 89 of those people will not answer you, or they have other methods to use to answer. So you got to sort of figure out in those fields where to reach them. That matters. Like on Instagram, if they have a KIK, that's where they want to be targeted. A lot of them are going to say DM for collaborations. A lot of them are going to say this. On YouTube, it's just pretty much getting into their world, commenting on the bottom, and then sometimes they have emails, direct message. As funny as it sounds, they're doing a lot of that. Like every month, you should be direct messaging anywhere from 300 to 1,000 people, and then building your list. It doesn't have to be like you have to have a 4-hour conversation with every single person. You can just be like, hey, I was interested in you because of this, insert whatever it is that you want to share about it. And then you just go, is there somewhere we can work together with? Some of them are going to be like, I charge a fee. Some of them are going to be like, show me what you got. Some of them will be like, no. Some of them are going to be, yes, definitely. And let's move forward from here. And as funny as it sounds, no matter how high like if you're trying to reach somebody that has 2.5 million followers, there's proper channels that you have to do that through.
Right.
But you get into their world and ecosystem, like Gary talks about, you're going to find out that this person that you see as a high client profile, you'll realize that what they care about is this specific sports team. What they care about is this specific nonprofit organization. So what you do is you use your channels to promote those things because it matters to them. And then you link back to you reference them over and over and over again to a point where like they look at you and like, oh, this guy won't shut up. All right. Take a look at what they clap.
Yeah.
So let go of the idea that you have to be somebody in order to get to connected with somebody and just sort of bulldoze through your list. Just go list after list after list after list. Follow up on your list. Follow up. Now, again, tactics. Don't just go in there and be like, hey, I want you to rep my brand. Here, I'll send you a T-shirt. Unless it's transactional.
Yeah.
There are some people that you can get really transactional with and just be like, you can, as funny as it sounds, you can contact any model you want on Instagram. Say you have a T-shirt or you have like a makeup brand or whatever situation and be like, hey, I have this. You can literally say, how much would you charge me if I sent you one to promote this? Or if I send you this thing, will you promote it? Da-da-da-da-da. And then you take your list and you find out who gives you the best rates and just be like, oh, I can afford this month. I can't afford this until 5 months from now. Oh, I got to use all the free stuff. And then you figure out your ways around it. So again, as funny as it sounds, it goes back to the giving principles. Like, how much can I give to this person of value so that they actually say, they point back at me and say, hey, this matters, or this person matters because of this, or whatever situation.
Yeah, you nailed it.
And then remember that because you're asking for client-based, you want to make it transactional. As funny as it sounds, somebody I was working with, they were talking to me about, hey, what's the best way for me to say that I want them to rep my brand and da 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 da. So they wanted a script, and I told them, just make it transactional. You have something you want to give them. What are your rates? Simple. What are your rates, or what is this to get in front of this person? And then, what was the question exactly? Because it said high value clients.
Yeah, how to reach out to potential high clients to sponsor your brand.
Okay, so for them, they got to define what high client means.
Right.
Then they got to understand sponsorship means you want them to rep your whatever it is. We'll call it gear to make it easy. You want to, check this out. This hat I'm wearing belongs to a company I work with. It's a guy named Guy Atlas on Instagram. Because I was working with him, he just sent me a hat, and for a while, whenever I was wearing it and I took a picture, I just tagged his brand.
Perfect.
But there was a mutual, because I worked for him, he's like, hey, let me just send you a free hat. Now, if you did that to people that had 250,000 followers and up to 500,000, and then you just keep going. Because it seems like if their focus is on sponsorship, you can literally reach out to Taylor and be like, I would like to give you this thing and some money behind and da-da-da-da-da. And then you move on to the next person. You go to Spencer because you like what he does, and be like, hey, I see you're this. Then you move on to the next person, and then you figure out where your values are. Because sometimes high potential clients doesn't mean it's the person that has 80,000 followers, because sometimes was artificially boosted. Sometimes it could be followers that has high engagement. So depending on where you're going, you want to look at the engagement. How good is their community, and how much potential so-and-so. Now, do you want them to sponsor you as they rep you for the entire month? Then you just talk terms at the end of the day. That's it.
Yeah. It's funny that it breaks down that way, but it's really just simply asking.
There was another apparel brand that I was working with. Yeah. There, you find out what terms you can. And if you can't be cool about it, just be sure I got your terms. We're able to move forward with this, for sure, contact you back.
Yeah, exactly. Trevor, did you want to add anything?
I think he nailed that perfectly. The only thing I would add is I think every one of those is transactional. Sometimes I'm trading my content or I'm giving them content for, they're like us, most of them.
Right.
They want content. They're struggling to come. A lot of times they're struggling to come up with good content anyways. So if you have something that's in their realm of interest, it's not hard. Usually they're pretty receptive. And then you get to the level of, well, I want $400 for this thing. And then you give them $400 a day. I mean, it's always transactional.
Right.
Two quick stories before I dip out on you guys right now. Because I've been in the travel game, because you said it's always a content thing. A lot of travel accounts, they're looking for videos of places they can't outsource that to people. Plus, apparel brands in the travel niche, sometimes they need videographers. Like a videographer contacted the hat that a 17-year-old kid living in our area, the LA area, contacted our brand. My guy was happy about it, bagged up good $100 worth of apparel, sent it to her, and she got the model, she got the video, she made it, and she sent it back, all for free, just so that we would promote her. So think about it in those terms. Even if you can't give that, think about the skills and talents that you have or you've built. Another person with the content, my guy was looking for people to create cool travel videos in these different countries because they wanted to promote travel aspects. So they were like, "Hey, we noticed you were in last July, and we saw these videos. Would it be cool if we use that as promotional videos with a sponsorship?" Look at those kind of aspects, and just think, it's like, if I'm a good videographer and I'm like traveling the world doing this, and this, and literally store up hundreds of hours to be pitching that to accounts online, left and right, depending on what they may need. If you're in the skating field, you follow skaters and you're doing videos of that, you create what you can, you leverage what you can, and then you distribute it to who you need.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it doesn't always have to be money. It doesn't always have to be stuff. It can literally be your skills. It can literally be the fact that you're a good photographer, a good podcaster, a good host, a good B&B in a nice place, all that kind of stuff. You're offering something of value that you have to somebody else, and then through that, you'll build that fluid relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, don't ever think just that I have to give $100 each time. Always think of other angles to come at it from. It's just that I'm in like business mode. I'm always thinking, I know if I offer them $100, this is going to be a 5-minute conversation.
Well, it's funny how things change. There was a time in my life where giving the skill or the fame was a hell of a lot better than giving $500 to somebody. But then that changes where now it'd be easier to give money than it is the other thing because of just value. So it's people that are trying to get on the board. They're like, "Oh, you're going to give me $100 to take photos for 3 days?" Yeah, I was like, and you're like, this works out perfectly, or whatever the value exchange is there. I was like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so out of that, and then figuring out your tactics and all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna dip out because I'm running late.
Yes, yeah, so am I. That was awesome, though. I mean, that was really good for marketing AF. That was great.
Yeah. If you want to shoot me the video file, I'll clip it and edit, and I might throw some After Effects in the front of it of a intro.
Nice. Perfect. Yeah. Hopefully next time we can get some more people in there, which I think we definitely could, because this is a really, really good one in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I had an idea on it because I didn't want to go over our questions. I would like to know how Trevor builds his email lists, because that one I'm still I would say infancy of understanding that. I get it, but I haven't tactically attacked it. So that'd be cool to find out how you did your email list building.
I can answer that.
And
I don't build.
Oh, okay.
I don't build lists. I don't do. I've never had luck with the whole give this thing and get. I've never got that. Info USA. Photographers in this area. The list for 80,000 is $3,800. I don't want to spend that. I want to spend 1,000. Narrow it down until I spend 1,000. I've got an email list. I'll dump it into MailChimp. Do 5 test emails to that batch. I'll spend a lot that first month, narrow it down, and I cut 100,000 names to 20 in a month.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I've heard of that method as well. That's good to know. That's conventional and practical. And then another thing I was thinking of is we should work with somebody practical that's coming out of the gates, and just I was thinking it would be cool is if we can take somebody from point A to point B. So instead of just doing a question and we're sort of walking the question back and forth, somebody comes in live and we're just saying, okay, run this way. And then we do a follow-up in a couple weeks on a follow-up video or something.
I love that.
That's really cool idea.
So we can solve somebody's marketing problems
live
on, and then navigate them on the fly. And then we can talk about it.
That's legendary. That's badass. I'm all about that. You like that, Trevor?
I'm down.
Awesome.
Yeah, I thought it'd be kind of cool.
Awesome. All right, dude, guys, thank you so much. This was absolutely awesome.
Yeah, it was nice to listen to you guys. I'm glad I could join you guys.
Awesome.
I didn't say much, but I just kind of want to listen to you guys out, see what this is all about first one.
Yeah, dude, that's perfect, man. That's what we want.
Yeah, for Ryan, if there's something he wants to figure out, we'll just A to B to C to D to Z.
I mean, I'm starting up my own personal blog and a podcast right now, so I'm working on all that stuff. So if you guys want to use me as your guinea pig for this,
hell yeah!
Send us some requests of things you like, an outcome you want to happen, and we'll just hash it out someday.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Awesome.
That should be a lot of fun. I'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm excited for
Sounds good.
this.
Thanks.
Y'all have a good night.
You too. Thanks, guys. See you later.